In pre-modern Japan, there tended to be three roles that a woman could take on. The first, and most common, was to be a housewife. Someone who took care of the home and her husband, and any potential kids they had. The second role was to be a prostitute. Some could get into high-ranking brothels, while others ended up working at bathhouses. The final role a woman could take on was that of a nun, a woman who devoted herself to Buddhism. But why were these the three options a woman had, outside of some exceptions? Could it be that Buddhism had an influence over the roles of women in Japanese society? I will be looking at the 7 nuns and the life of an amorous woman, and using them to discuss how Buddhism influenced the roles of women in pre-modern Japan. These roles of women in pre-modern Japan are displayed clearly in the stories that were mentioned. Both stories also show influence from Buddhism, and arguably try to turn the reader to Buddhism and enlightenment, although that last part isn't relevant here. They will be the stories that will help me argue my point today, but first, let's go over them. What are they even about? The 7 Nuns is a story that looks at, you guessed it, 7 nuns. It starts with 5 nuns arriving at a bathhouse run by another nun and her apprentice to rest in their travels. They all then take turns sharing stories about how they became nuns, up until the last nun makes her appearance. She says they're all talking in their sleep and dips, and then an attendant tells them all her story. She was a princess. She was the daughter of the retired Emperor Kazan, and she fell in love with a man. They ran away together, but unfortunately, when they stopped at an inn, the innkeeper fell in love with her, decided to kill her lover. She rejected him. Keep in mind, the innkeeper had a wife too, and so the innkeeper decided to kill himself because he got rejected. So, kind of a tragic story. As for the life of an amorous woman, it starts with an unknown character following 2 drunks into the woods, where they come across a shack belonging to an old lady. After some pressure, they get her to open up about her, amorous life. Starting from when she was a young child, she made all the boys go wild with her beauty. Sorry, had to slip in a 6 reference there. Slowly, after various life experiences, including being a prostitute, she became bitter about her past and turns to Buddhism instead. Throughout both the stories, the reader is exposed to the beliefs of Buddhism, including some of the scripture that is focused specifically at women, like the Lotus scripture. More importantly, despite the wide variety of lives shown in both texts with various women, there are only 3 main jobs women could take: a prostitute, a wife, or a nun. They could cycle in between them, but still, those were the only options, again ignoring a few exceptions. Buddhism could be the reason for this. After all, we have an example of Buddhism changing how Japanese society works. In the research article, Religion as an Informal Institution, a case of true Pure Land Buddhism and missing women in early modern Japan by Hirokazu Ishise, he explains how the believers of the true Pure Land sect of Buddhism were less likely to participate in gender-influenced infanticide. Thanks to the beliefs of Buddhism, infanticide slowly became less and less practiced until eventually it got banned. That being said, it isn't that far of a reach to say that Buddhist beliefs had influence on other beliefs, such as how women should behave and what roles they should follow. Buddhist scriptures, as with seemingly all popular religions, are a bit discriminatory towards women, as evidenced by Research on Buddhist Nuns in Japan, Past and Present, by Monica Wacker. In her article, she shares written experiences of nuns of the past who had to fight for better rights, to be seen as equals. All of this comes together to show that women who were big believers of Buddhism and followed the scriptures became homemakers and nuns. Meanwhile, though some women didn't want that life, due to pressures of a male-dominated society, their only other option was to become a prostitute to serve men. Now, it is possible that women would have been forced into certain roles of housewife or prostitute even without the influence of Buddhism. But it is hard to deny the influence of Buddhism on the roles of women in pre-modern Japan. It isn't all that surprising, keep in mind, due to the visible influence of religion on women's anatomy across the world, with various religions. Even here in the US, we see influences from different versions of Christianity on how women are allowed to behave, to dress, etc. In some factions of Christianity, women can only wear skirts and dresses. They're not allowed to wear pants. Regardless, it is easy to come to the conclusion of Buddhism influencing women's roles in pre-modern Japan. Thank you for watching.